Now, today I'll be discussing a topic which is very hotly discussed and debated on different TV channels, and it's a very common discussion point that the loan to Mehul Chokshi, Neerav Modi, and Vijay Mallya was given before 2014, and the UPA government was responsible for that. Now, I'll be discussing and debating today and will give my perspective as to whether wrong loans were sanctioned before 2014 and these loans were given by Dr. Manmohan Singh's government. Now, anybody who knows, who understands the non performing asset management and how the loans are treated as non performing assets and the appropriation is done on the balance sheets of the banks, they will know that these loans were, if given before 2014, and they were recognized as non performing assets and loss assets in 2017, then the government which was in power before 2014 was not responsible and they were not guilty. See what happens. Now we have to understand as to what happens when a loan is sanctioned by a bank to a particular company. When a loan is sanctioned to a company, say 100 crores loan has been given by the bank. Suppose it was given in 2014 when Dr. Manmohan Singh was in power and UPA was in power. And this 100 crores loan was sanctioned in 2014. Suppose it was sanctioned in that particular time. But if a loan, a borrower is not able to repay the interest and principal for 3 months, first 3 months, whenever the company defaults in first 3 months, the loan asset is declared as non-performing asset, and the categorization of the non-performing assets is done on the basis of the age of default. If the loan is defaulted for say 3 months, it's a very minor default. When it is more than 1 year, it is more serious, and then 2 years, 5 years, it becomes a sort of a non-recoverable loan. And the provisions are made by the bank and the financial institutions. What do you mean by provisions in the banking system and the books of accounts of the bank? That means that if the age of default is lesser, a small provisioning is done and that is booked as loss in the books of accounts of the bank. If the default is not clear, it extends, then more provision is made. And if it becomes a loss asset where the chances of recoveries are very low, then a large provisioning is made. And the books of accounts of the banks show that there are hardly any chance of recovery of this loan and loss is booked in that particular year when the borrower doesn't pay, and on the basis of the age of the default, the provisioning is made. This is what happens. So suppose the 100 crores loan was sanctioned in 2014. Within 3 months, if the banks, and this is also a provision that the banks and the financial institutions will make regular visit to the company, they will regularly check the books accounts of the company to find out whether the money is being earned by the bank, by the companies, the borrowers, and they are able to repay the loan of the bank. And the moment the bank and the financial institution recognizes that the borrower is not able to generate cash and repay the loan of the bank, then action is taken, the coercive action is taken. Whatever alternatives are available, on the basis of that, the best alternative is diagnosed and the action is taken. Now, if the loan was sanctioned in 2014 and it could not be diagnosed and recognized till 2017-18, that loan is not being repaid and the company has not become a defaulter, then that is not the fault of the government or the bank or the banking system before 2014, but it is the fault of the bank and the financial institution which was in power after 2014. Now I'll tell you as to what really happens, because as I have explained, if the banks have to make provisions and book losses, this is in the interest of the bank not to show the borrower company as a non-performing asset. And this is also not in the interest of the borrower to show that they have turned and the loan that they have taken has turned a non-performing asset. So in the interest of the both, the lender and the borrower, normally a arrangement is made that suppose loan was sanctioned before 2014 and the default suppose is of 10 crores. Suppose 10 crores payment was to be made, say, after 1 year, and the company is not able to generate cash and able to repay this 10 crores, then bank sanctions another loan of 10 crores, disburses it, adjusts it. So the equity debt ratio of the borrower keeps on deteriorating. The sanctioned loan keeps on increasing, and in the process, the borrower is not considered as a non-performing asset. So in my opinion, this has what has happened in the case of Mehul Chokshi, Neerav Modi and Lalit Modi. So in my opinion, it's very wrong to say that because the loans were sanctioned before 2014, because if the loans were not sanctioned and additional loans were given after 2014, then situation would not have risen, and within a 6 months out of 2014, the NPAs could have been recognized and the defaults detected, because it took 5-6 years to find out that the borrowers have turned non-performing asset. That means that the banks and the financial institutions were in connivance even after 2014, and the process continued for 5-6 years. See, the banks can make a mistake in the beginning, because what happens is, in the industry, in the beginning the industry has all intention and reputation and willingness to play fair, but when it gets into a debt trap, when it is not it spends very fast and is not able to meet the obligations of the increased loans that it has taken, then it gets into a trap and then the problem arises. So might be that 2014, before 2014, the borrowers did not have so bad intention and the banks were not at fault before that, but if the defaults were not recognized for 5-6 years, then it is the fault, in my opinion, of the following government, which took power after 2014, and the banking system and the management of the bank, who could not recognize, and additional loans were granted, sanctioned, disbursed and recovered. And that is why The bigger responsibility is on those banking system and the management of the bank who continued to keep that non-performing assets of Mehul Choksi, Neerav Modi and Lalit Modi even after 2014, and for 4 5 years they were not recognized as non-performing asset. This is what I have explained, that total process, and now I hope things will be clear. If you have any doubt, you can ask and I will clarify further. Thank you.